Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from a Spiritual Ascension. So I've been in this energy. Um, if you know tarot, it's kind of called the Hermit energy, Hermit card. And as you know what a hermit is, um, this energy of kind of silence, isolation, um, meditation. And this has gone on now for over 2 months. So if you've been following along with some of my story, I back in June, mid-June, I had resigned from my 9 to 5 job. And in other videos, I've talked about when you get to a point where a situation, a person, circumstance, whatever it may be, and that circumstance seems to kind of explode up, like things get worse wherever you are, the person that you're with acts worse, whatever it is, that means that it's time for you to leave that situation. So things have been calm through um, the winter time there at my job, and then things started to kind of be revealed, masks kind of coming off. So I kept hearing spirits saying, okay, it's time to leave. It's time to leave. If you don't know, I'm a psychic medium, so I'm clairaudient, so I hear spirit. So I left in mid-June thinking that I was going to, just jump right into my spiritual work. And all of a sudden, it was kind of like spirit telling me to just sit and be quiet. And I'm like, this feels weird because, as you know, probably also, I worked on Wall Street for 20 years in Manhattan. Very fast-paced life, go, 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 go all the time. And it was very hard for me to undo that. So now, in these last 2.5 months of kind of sitting in solitude, sitting in quietness, kind of almost in isolation because I'm in this period where it's the um, gone through my journey. And if you've been following along on the other playlists, I've been telling everything that happened to me along my spiritual journey. And that ended. And now saying, okay, so what's next? Not even thinking that I was going to come into this period of kind of isolation. And there's a reason for that. I've said many times that you're going to spend a lot of time alone. That's when spirit's able to talk to you, able to kind of even teach you things. You'll come across things that you kind of didn't even think you wanted to know about. And all of a sudden you go down that rabbit hole of kind of like, so I've done several courses on the ascension process. And in one of those, I talked about the ascended masters. So we're talking about Muhammad, right, from the Muslim religion, who had gone off. I believe he had gone to a cave. He was supposedly visited by Angel Gabriel, and he was alone in isolation during that time. Okay. Then we have the example of Buddha, right, from the Hindu religion, that he went off, left his family, was from a very affluent family, had gone off and was sitting under this tree for some time. And that's when he came into enlightenment. But the thing was, he was also sitting quietly, silently in meditation, in isolation. Then we have Jesus, right, from the Christian faith, who left after being baptized and went out into the wilderness for 40 days. And he was again in meditation, in isolation. So that plays a big part in your ascension, is allowing for that time in isolation. Has it been hard? You know what? The first 2 months was like, oh my God, like this is so nice, like, of not having to go to a job every day. And I also had a hard time keeping up with my exercise. And so now I'm able to do that every day. I had just moved into this apartment in February. So, I haven't really had a chance going to work and then coming home on the weekends. I'm just tired of really being able to become grounded in the place that I am. And it was kind of interesting too when as you know, when I left New York, I didn't bring, oops, I didn't bring anything with me. So I just packed up my Jeep and whatever, it was really just clothes and blankets and stuff like that. So I had to kind of get not new stuff, but also learning that everything doesn't have to be new, right? And it seemed like whenever I would go to a shop to kind of find an item that I needed, like it was there. Like it was really weird, like trying to find, like I said, okay, I want a ottoman. And I went into what do you call, like a resale store, and there was the perfect ottoman there. So spirit also providing the things I needed beforehand before I went into this like isolation period. And all during this time, I've been trying to do videos for you guys, and it's also has been healing for me to be able to talk about what has happened to me over the last 5 years, because I journal everything I write down, but there's a difference between writing it and also speaking it. So in order to ascend, right? And that's what you're doing. You're mastering your ascension. That's where that phrase comes from, um, ascended masters, right? And there's many more that people can pick out. But I just thought of Muhammad and Jesus and Buddha, who are the most popular from the most popular religions of the world. And if you really look at their stories, and understand that in order for them to go forward and do the work that they were chosen to do, that they chose to come here and do, they had to first have a life, right? They had their first life, as I talk about having two lives within one lifetime, right? They all had a life before this. And like Buddha had was from a very affluent family, and he left that in order to have this transformation, to now go into a teacher and healer, which is what the other ones have done also. And that's a part of your mission also, is to become a teacher and healer for those who come forward to you and need that. If I say anything else about that, I always have to write down those because I forget things. But that period, okay, do you have some notes? That this period of time, so after your journey, right? So as I've been telling my story, there's a period before where, I worked on Wall Street. It was all about getting the money, go, go, go. And then there was this period just before where I stopped working and went into this 5 year period of ascension in my journey. And that ended in the springtime, this past spring. So now, like afterwards, like, okay, what's going to happen now? And now not realizing that I was going to go into this kind of quiet period, this isolation period where I'm connecting with spirit. Spirit's teaching me so many new things that I didn't realize before. and this knowledge. But the thing is, it's not even, yes, some new information, but the thing is, my soul, who is an old soul, already knew this information. So it's kind of like that reminder. You know how I used to, when you're in grammar school, I don't know if they still do this or not, but the first kind of 1 or 2 months, so like say you left second grade, you go through the summer, and then you go into third grade, and that first 1 or 2 months of third grade, you're kind of reviewing everything that you learned in second grade. I don't know if they still do it like that, but it's kind of like a review. So my soul already knows all of that wisdom. And it's kind of like in this time period, I'm having this review of this wisdom coming up from my soul and coming into the 3D and saying, oh, yeah, I do. Like my soul does remember that. But even though it seems to me in this lifetime, it's new information. Hopefully that makes sense to you. But it's a beautiful time. If you are in the midst of your journey, if you're just starting your journey, wherever you are on your journey, just this is for me to help you to understand what you're going to go through at different periods of time. So after your journey, expect to, if you're still working a job, and if you are on this journey, you have chosen this path, that there's going to be times of isolation during your journey, but then afterwards, so that you can sit with everything you just kind of went through and like a recap calibration. And there's an ending there to your old life, and then now entering into a new life. So having that second life within that one, your one lifetime here. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. If you would like to spend time with me talking about your own journey, if you would like to hear more about my journey on a more personal basis, if you would like a reading, there is a link below to book time with me, and I will see you in the next one.